What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Mindset Mutiny, and I am your host, Mike Ivanov. Kind of cool place we are today. I'm in Burke, Vermont, riding my bike, trying to collect my mind and get my energy back after that speech. And we will be doing a podcast on the rise to that speech and then the fall back down from it, which is interesting to discuss because there was quite an adrenaline dump there, quite a dopamine overload that I have been unpacking for quite some time. And it's been challenging for me to try to understand. So I'm going to do a whole podcast on that because I think it'd be really helpful for you guys to help you understand kind of what that rise and fall looks like and then kind of how to seek that baseline once that dopamine withdrawal kind of takes place. But not to delay too long here. Like I said, we're in Burke, Vermont. It's about 6:00 p.m. And I just wanted to rip a quick podcast to kind of talk about my ride today, kind of talk about some of the other things I did after my ride. For those of you that are interested. So, like I said, Burke, Vermont, woke up this morning pretty early, got out on the bike before anybody was out, and I was going to ride Black Bear. We are in Northeast Kingdom, which is some of the best mountain bike trails, I would say, in the Northeast, maybe in the northern part of the entire country. But yeah, so some epic rides, a lot of flowy, groomed trails. Anyway, so today I got up super early, had my electrolytes, headed out of the Airbnb. So we get a nice Airbnb up here, same place we stay kind of often when we come up this way. Beautiful spot, middle of nowhere. Super kind of modern design on the house. It's got kind of a lofted bedroom, which is kind of cool. And anyway, we spent Thanksgiving here in 24, which was kind of neat. And the turkey filled the entire oven. But we had snow that day. I went out and caught a quick half marathon in a winter storm morning. So anyway, I rode out this morning. Was a little rainy, a little overcast, but a lot of fog, a lot of clouds kind of caught in the mountain area. So I went out by myself, and right off the trailhead it's straight up, right? So pedaled about, well, let me check. I'll give you the exact time. I got the lap times here. 37 minutes up, right off the trailhead to the top of Black Bear. And you can kind of do laps here at this place, right? So there's like an access trail that you can kind of pedal up and kind of rip down and then pedal up again, right? So the pedal up is about 2 miles. So it's about 2 miles straight up to the top of Black Bear. You come up to the top. It's like an access road, and then it kind of goes down to some single track for, maybe about a half mile single track, comes out to an opening. Big kind of gazebo, kind of where everybody kind of hangs out before they kind of hit Black Bear, because Black Bear is a good solid, let's see, let me look here. It is about 2.5 miles down nonstop. And it's like a jump trail. It's got a lot of flowy, like bank corners, like real bank corners. I mean, there were some corners that were banked, got to be, I don't know, 9 feet, 10 feet tall bank corners. So when you're exiting that corner, you want to be kind of looking towards the exit. But anyway, so I pedal up to the top of Black Bear. I'm up there before anybody else. So I kind of I'm up there alone, right? Which is super awesome. But on the way up, I don't want to say I was kind of bitching out, but I hate climbing. Just something, I know it's like you ride mountain bikes and hate climbing. It's kind of interesting, but I don't like climbing, man. And the whole way up, every like couple minutes I'd look up and I'd be like, oh my God, like, look at how far up that is. Look at the steep grade. Like, what the fuck am I doing? So I'd say for the first 37 minutes on the way up, I was questioning everything, wondering why I picked this route. Because there's a lot of nice trails out here. You could do all sorts of riding out here, and some are easier than others. But so Black Bear is probably one of the best trails. So of course that's where I headed out to. So on the way up, I just find that I'm kind of psyching myself out. I'm like, man, today is going to be a long day. Because I want to do a couple of laps, and already like literally a couple minutes in, I'm like, man, I don't want to be here. But just kept pedaling. Took a couple breaks on the way up. Had some energy jelly beans on the way up, and that kind of gave me a little bit of carbs, gave me a little boost. But so I get up to the top, beautiful, beautiful view, kind of opens up, and all the fog's kind of sucked into the mountain area there, and it was so beautiful. So I took some time to myself, kind of sit there, enjoy the view. And again, this is kind of my therapy, like I've talked about. Riding bikes saved my life, and it always gives me that clarity that I'm looking for. So made sure to kind of be present for that. So sat down, took my helmet off, kind of sat in the gazebo, just kind of chilled out before my descend down. And so I'm riding an Evil Reckoning. It's like a Joker build. I built it. Pretty cool bike. It's a 29er. I got brown walls on it. I got 220 millimeter rotors in the front, so that's a huge rotor. Formula brakes. I got a push rear shock. I got 190 millimeter front rock shock. Bike is sick. It's not a great climber, so the seat angle is pretty steep. It's great for descending, but not super great for climbing. So you got to put a lot of effort into the climb, but you're going to be passing people on the downhill. So anyway, I climbed that beast to the top. She looked really pretty doing the job. I think that's all that matters. So took a couple pictures, kind of took a video or two at the top, and then kind of headed down. So started my descent down, and again, super flowy, and I was kind of locked in. I was riding really well. But I had to stop a couple times on the way down. So my first climb up was 37 minutes, and my second lap up was 35. So I got faster climbing the second time. And my total descent down was 17 minutes and 20 seconds, the first descent, and the second descent was 10 minutes and 57 seconds. So I covered 2.4 miles in 10 minutes and 57 seconds on the second run down. And again, the first time down, I had to stop a couple times. My legs were burning. My heart rate was pretty high. I had a pretty high max heart rate throughout this whole thing. So, my total ride was about an hour and 53 minutes. Total climbing was 1,500 total vertical feet. And I had an average heart rate of about 140. But on the way down, maximum speed of 18.5 miles an hour, which is kind of cranking, with a maximum heart rate of 177. So on the first rip down, I was just kind of getting to know the trail a little bit. I rode it last year, but you don't really remember any of it. And, I only know one guy that kind of rips things blind. And, that's not me. So it's kind of taking my time coming down. But, I was pushing it a little bit, and I was just feeling good. Sometimes, riding a bike is, you feel like you're forcing it. Other times you just feel like, you're right in the right place. Like you're actually riding it, So for me on the way down, I could tell I was locked in. So I was super excited, just kind of hitting it hard, getting some air, just really dialed in. So letting the bike kind of do the work. And again, me riding it, some days you're kind of forcing the bike to do things. Which, in my experience never ends well. But, the day that I had, definitely things are going right for me. So I wanted to take advantage of that. So everything just felt good. I felt like part of the bike. So, ripped my way down and then headed up for another lap. And the second time headed up, kind of decided I was going to kind of flip the visor down, right? So just to give you an idea, my helmet has a visor on it, obviously, and it's adjustable. Like you can raise it and kind of lower it. And I like to kind of ride with it kind of halfway up, because I like kind of the peripheral visibility. Like if I kind of have my head down, I can kind of still see in front of me. But there's always an issue with that, right? So when you're climbing, you see where you have to go and your mind just starts kind of fucking you, right? So I decided this time on the way up, I was going to just flip that visor down and I was just going to keep pedaling. So I was going to be in kind of like what I like to call a 2-foot world. And I used to kind of use that term back in the day when I was playing hockey, like, the 2 feet in front of you is really what mattered. And anything outside of that was a distraction, right? So whatever, I don't want to get into too much hockey discussion because we haven't really talked about that here. Let's focus on riding bikes. So 2-foot world, right? Instead of looking way up the trail at where I needed to go, obviously the climb sucked, and I've already mentioned I didn't like that. And by looking further ahead and seeing how far you have to go, it can really kind of fuck with your head. So I flipped that visor down so I couldn't see all the way up ahead of the trail. I could only see, whatever, 4 or 5 feet, right? I call it 2-foot world, but it was like 4 or 5 feet in front of me. And I just locked in and I just said, all right, I'm just going to pedal and pedal and pedal. And I'm just going to, if I get an opportunity to kind of click up a gear or two, that's good. But I'm in my lowest climbing ring, right? So, and I'm having a hard time keeping the bike upright, right? So what that means is that this hill is really fucking steep. I'm in my lowest gear and my legs are smoked. So I'm just pedaling rotation after rotation, just trying to keep my head down and just kind of trying to stay out of my head, right? So I keep climbing, keep pushing it, but I just stay in that 2-foot world. And it's important as I'm riding, I'm thinking like, hey, I gotta talk about this on a podcast, because in life, right, when you have a huge goal that you're kind of coming up on, or that you're trying to accomplish, and I kind of related to where I'm at now, right, coming out of the tail end of this speech, it's kind of changed things for me. Like, I have a path that I now need to pursue, and it's long and it's scary, and it feels like this giant uphill that I was pedaling on today. So I was kind of drawing the correlation between the two. And that's why a bike is like so, kind of therapeutic for me, because I'm just sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, wow, okay, riding this bike up this hill, and when I say hill, like, most of you fucking people would say, fuck this. There's no way anybody's riding up this shit. Um, maybe just Ben Kelly. I always talk about Ben when it comes to bikes, but shit, man, that guy sets a standard. So anyway, I just want to be very clear that when you're in the shit and you're climbing for a goal, right? Look right in front of you. 2-foot world. Don't look too far ahead. I was talking to my wife about it earlier today, because I was kind of like telling her about this concept that I think will really help me, because, I'm a little scared about what's coming my way soon, right? Like, I mean, I was coming off this big thing, like building Mindset Mutiny has been scary, but now we're at a whole new level, right? We just spoke in front of 6,000 people. It was 6,000, not 8,000, by the way, so just have to make sure to, be accurate with the record, but things are changing coming out of that, and I'm scared. And it's taking me a lot of time to kind of understand what that is. So I'm looking at that as a 2-foot world. So I'm going to look at the goals that are right in front of me, and I'm just going to keep hitting them, right? I'm going to keep pedaling forward, no matter how scary it is, because if I look too far ahead, my chances of quitting are very high. So you just need to make sure you don't look too far ahead. You have to kind of have to mediate that a little bit. Just enough to scare you, but not enough, to force that, like, kind of that overwhelming feeling. So anyway, I pedal up for my second time, thinking about this thing the whole way. My sweat is dripping down off my visor, getting in my glasses. It's a little muggy, little bit of bugs out, but had a little bug spray that I sprayed before we took off. But that. Not really sure about that bug spray, because my neck started burning as soon as I started sweating. And then I find out I ended up getting a rash from that bug spray. So we're going to have to talk to whoever bought that for me to make sure that we're on the same page. But anyway, so get to the top. There's a few people now, because, this is the second lap. Now people are starting to get out there. And by the way, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Okay. The only way you're getting to where I am is if you got some sort of set of lungs and a pair of legs. So kind of park my bike, get off my bike, right? So I've been climbing nonstop on my bike for about 35 minutes. So I'm pretty tired. So just kind of pull up to the gazebo. There's like a little bike rack kind of like that somebody made. Super cool. And just kind of get off my bike and head into the gazebo, kind of chat it up with a few people. And I have a Stinger oat bar, which is, well, tasted fucking amazing. So kind of chilled out, collected myself, caught my wind, and then decided I was going to head down. And my goal for heading down was to make sure that I went top to bottom without stopping. And let me tell you, by the time I got to the bottom, my legs were burning. But I did that in, let's see, looks like, almost 6 minutes faster than my first run down. And my average speed on my first run down was 10.1 miles an hour. And then on my second run down was 13.5. So, dude, let me tell you, I fucking crushed it on the way down. Wish I had a video of the whole thing. I was just in the zone. The bike was flowing. I was just like part of it. Epic ride down. Probably one of my best rides of my lifetime. I was just feeling good. Don't know why, but everything was just kind of working one with the bike. So pretty sick. I had one close call, kind of came off of this big bank corner to like a transition, like a tabletop transition, which kind of like popped off, got a little air. And then there was a steep corner, but it was wet out today and there was some roots. So there was a couple of roots stacked up. And if you take on a mountain bike or any bike really, if you take roots at any angle where you're like kind of where you're not completely upright and going straight over it, if you're going over roots at an angle that are wet, you're going to have some issues. So I did, and the bike kind of slid out a little bit, and the right side of the handlebar, kind of came way in. So I'm leaning, going, probably, I don't know, 12, 13 miles an hour. And I can just feel the bike kind of turn and the front tires kind of turning, and I can feel myself starting to get kind of pushed over the front of the handlebars. But I kind of stayed strong on the bars and was able to correct the tire and be able to ride out of it. But it was one of those moments where your asshole kind of puckers up because you know what's next. You're going to be in the fucking woods, rolling down the trail, probably getting up with some damage. But I was able to save it, able to ride out of it, and just kind of kept ripping. It's one of those things where you have like a quick almost spill, you kind of yell out a little bit with some celebration after you save it, and then kind of continue on down. So I finished my rip all the way down to the bottom. I was super stoked. Headed out to the car, packed up the bike, and headed back to the Airbnb to pick up Devin because she had a nice day planned for us. So. Got a nice ride this morning, feeling real good, super fucking stoked. But more importantly, this is where I collect myself. This is where I go to heal. And that's what I'm doing here. So I figured it'd be good to kind of rip a podcast, when I'm in the right mood. So I'm sitting here in Burke now. And what we did as soon as I got home, obviously I rinsed the bike off. Super important to make sure that bike is nice and shiny, clean, get all the mud off. You'd be surprised what gets caked on there after kind of a little bit of a wet time. So cleaned the bike off, brought it inside, and picked Devin up because we had some plans for the day. So got a coffee, kind of sat and hung out at the local coffee shop. It was good. Talked to the locals a little bit when I went over to the gas station. Apparently, things aren't as busy up here as they used to be. There's a big Canadian influence up here, and a lot of people from Canada aren't traveling down here right now currently. So, hey, listen, I hope everything goes well in Burke. It's just a special place for me, and the economy here really relies on mountain biking. So hopefully things turn around. So anyway, had a nice coffee, and then we kind of headed out, went to stop to pick up what we're going to have for dinner at Libby's Meat Market. So it's a really cool place. It's like, couple minutes outside of Burke, and it's like a hole in the wall. Like, it looks like an old building. It says Libby's Market on it. Off to the right-hand side, there's like these smokers that are just going all the time. So I go there because they have the best brisket I've probably ever had. So I go in, I get a couple pounds of brisket, got some pickled onions, got some cheese dip, and let's see what else. I got some broccoli. and then some smoked sausage, which is going to be absolutely fucking amazing. So every time I come up here, I make sure to hit Libby's for at least a meal. So tonight, that's what we're going to have for dinner. But what was the best part, obviously, of coming up here is I head over to Glover, right? So I'm gluten-free. So pizza tends to be a pretty big challenge for me. It's, I don't know, if you're gluten-free, most gluten-free pizza sucks, to be honest with you. But there's a place up here called Parker Pie Company in Glover, Vermont, which I don't know the population of Glover, but they have one ambulance. I don't even think they have a police car. And it's in this old like gas station, and they make amazing pizza. So I get a pizza there, which I'm going to eat the whole thing because I burned about 1,200 calories riding my bike. So I can eat this whole pizza guilt-free. And then we head to Hill Farmstead, which is a super cool brewery. If you haven't been, I recommend you try it. But one of the only challenges for me is, again, these people don't make any gluten-free beer. They do make some cider, but that's not something I'm super excited about. And one thing I will do is treat myself to a few drinks when I come up here. Not saying that, you need to be drinking all the time, but after a big bike ride, I think it's customary to just, have a couple beers, kind of relax, just enjoy the area. So anyway, I happen to stop at the gas station and get some Heady Topper. I get a 4-pack of Heady Topper. And then I had Devin sneak the Heady Topper into Hill Farmstead. So I was I was pouring out some Heady Topper at Hill Farmstead today. And I crushed a whole pizza. We had a great time. It was good to hang out with Dev. But that's a special place for us. And we kind of do this whenever we come up here. It's kind of the same routine. So yeah, we left Hill Farmstead, and I have a great fire going here right now at the Airbnb, and I am going to head out there and enjoy it. But I just wanted to share with you kind of my process and what is so special to me about Vermont. And I will tell you, this is where I will disappear to. This is a special place. I feel at peace, and I'm the happiest I ever am is when I'm up here. But again, I really want to make sure that I am very clear about the 2-foot world that I was talking about. So we all get very, very distracted about our goals, and we look way, way, way out. And by looking way out, in my mind, it scares the shit out of you. It's much easier to break it down into small bites, and that's why I call it that 2-foot world. So, when I'm struggling like I am, like I have been for the last 17 days, and we will discuss that. I have to figure out how to tell that entire story, that climb to the speech, and then kind of the downer from it. I need to tell that to everybody because it was an experience that I've never felt before. And I think that people need to understand, after the accomplishment, how difficult it can be coming out of it. So that's why I'm here in Vermont. I need to get my energy back. I need to get my mind cleared so that I can continue to push forward, and I continue to do all the things that I'm currently doing, right, with the podcast, the coaching, the public speaking, and lifting, running, jujitsu, riding my bike, and then let's not forget the my full-time career, which is what I always mention last because I just don't think that that's who I am. And I want to make sure to let you all know, too, what you do as a job is not your identity. You need to have an identity outside of what your career is. So, when you introduce yourself to people, it should be nothing about what you do for a living. There should be so many other things to talk about before you even get to that. I will really never talk about my career. I would much rather talk about podcasting, coaching, getting better, development, reading, all of those types of things. But again, make sure when you're pursuing a goal, you chop it up into small pieces, stuff that is easily digestible. And today, I'm telling you, for some reason, this whole pedaling up this hill really did something for me. And it might not do anything for you when I talk about it, but it's easy to get psyched out when you're looking at a giant climb. So 2 foot world, small pieces, step by step, stack those bricks. You know what I'm talking about. And yeah. So listen, I'm going to come back and let's see if I can lay out a good podcast next week about kind of the climb. But in the meantime, I am going to go enjoy the rest of my night with the one person that I love that doesn't get a ton of my attention. And we're going to have a great night. So I hope that all of you enjoyed the podcast today. Just wanted to touch on a few things that I do to make me happy. And let me tell you, I've been riding bikes since I was a little kid. And you heard me on the last podcast saying that you have to do what you did as a kid to continue to pursue that happiness. So, on top of chopping up your big goals into small, bite sized pieces, 2 foot world, I want you to remember 2 foot world. I want you to think about it all the time. Anytime you're struggling, anytime you want to quit, zoom in a little bit, right? So you're looking at that 2 foot world. Don't look too far out because you can psych yourself out. And then on top of that, I want you to get some rest. We'll catch you later.